Welcome to the show we like to call For the Love of Real Estate, where we dive into what it means to buy or sell a home in today's world. Join host Jill Elliott, Dallas broker associate and former radio personality, as she marries her two loves, radio and real estate. She's going to have you asking yourself, for the love of real estate, should I tackle my fears and buy, rent, sell, or remodel?
Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for being here today and showing some love for this podcast. That needs all the love it can get right now. So please subscribe and listen to what I hope makes your home buying process, selling, or both a little bit better. And in Texas, which is where we are, it is recommended to do a home inspection, which is one of the most critical steps, but also one of the most nerve-wracking steps. So my guest today is Ace Home Inspector Sterling Reed from the Inspection House. Welcome, Sterling.
Thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on the podcast. Really a great opportunity to get in and talk with you and any potential home buyers or maybe past home buyers you've worked with and answer any questions about that portion of the process. It's a great portion and it can be a little bit stressful. Yeah. But it also can be a very rewarding time when Absolutely. Yeah, you know, and yep. I think that you have so much knowledge that's what I think people have to understand. And I like on this podcast for people to understand who they're working with. And I told you a long time ago that I wanted to have you on because, as I said, this show is not just about the steps to buying or selling a home, but also some of the cool people in real estate that I've met along the way in my journey. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You're one of them. Oh, thank you so much. And I certainly feel the same about you.
Do you remember when I was on the Brian Glenn show like several years ago and he was like, hey, why don't you bring somebody you know in the business, bring a friend to talk about what's going on in real estate? And I'm thinking, I know a guy. Yeah, I know the man. Remember? And right. You got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and showed up. And I was like, this is the dude right here. If he's going to get up and do this with me, I'm on board, you know. There you were.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so let's just talk about how it all kind of started with you to be a part of this crazy real estate world that we live in. How did it kind of all start for you?
Well, you know, my background was in real estate. Mm-hmm. So the inspection piece wasn't my first rodeo. I actually was a realtor. Oh, gosh, boom. maybe 7 or 8 years.
Wait. And then you decided, you know, I don't want to be miserable like all of them, like the rest of them. I'm going to go do something that's that's more towards the process.
Right. You know, for me, it was fun while it lasted. Mm-hmm. Then I reached that point where I said, you know, I'm done with that. I'm done with that portion of it. And then I went a little bit into appraisal work for a little while. I got that license. Yeah. And then got off into software consulting a little bit in the medical space. And then I came, you know, kind of missed the real estate landscape. So I came back, ironically enough, as a home inspector. People were questioning my judgment at that time. They said, you want to leave your job as a software consultant, become a home inspector. I thought absolutely.
Yeah, but do you know what though? I think that what it all tells me is that you're just such an entrepreneur at heart because you were a realtor prior and then appraisal and all of those things are things that you do on your own. You know, it's your own business, right? And then you probably went off that way, kind of like I did. I just did, you know, radio for so long working for someone else. And then as things change in your life, you think, whoa, wow, maybe there's something to this thing of working for yourself. And I'd always loved radio, but I loved real estate. There was something weird about it, as I talked about in my prior cast. But, you know, I just watched you build your business. That's what I thought was so fascinating about you when I met you, because I met you through the company I work for, which is JP and Associates Realtors. And you were one of our preferred vendors. And I just watched you just build and build and build. And I thought, now that's cool. That's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
And, you know, I thought, you know, let's just start with the process here. So, when home buyers and sellers have agreed on a price and they have a contract, this is what I call sort of like the honeymoon period. Everybody's happy and really happy now in Texas because just to get a house is hard enough, right?
Absolutely, it is.
But let's talk about like in the normal real estate world, like when you have 5 to 10 days to get your earnest money and option to the title company, and then you got to call that home inspector and you show up. And like I said, sometimes you're the greatest guy in the world, as we are as real estate agents, guy or gal.
Right.
And other times we're not the most popular person either. But let's run down the basic process that you take the buyer through on their home inspection. Just that initial part. How do you talk to them? How do you ease their mind a little bit?
So, one of the things and thanks for that question too, by the way, and I really appreciate the compliments, and I certainly have watched you build your business, and that's been impressive to watch as well. So thank you for that. We're not where we want to be as a company, but we're certainly striving to, reach our highest heights. So I appreciate the compliment. But, one of the things I like to stress to the buyers is when they come to the inspection, they always go, does it pass or fail? There is no pass or fail. You already got the house in the contract. You've come a long way at that point.
Absolutely.
All we're going to do is help you understand the house better to make a fact-based financial decision. And that's a big difference between quote unquote pass or fail, because I haven't run into any problem, me personally, I can't speak for everyone, but I haven't run into a problem that couldn't be fixed. Everything has been able to be repaired. So it's just a matter of repairing it and moving on, negotiations in the process, moving on. So I think, and then there are other things too, like buyers sometimes will, of course you want to go to the internet and start to research stuff.
That's like doing WebMD though, right?
Right. Because they'll always come in with these doomsday scenarios in their mind about how things are. So, and they'll be like, well, can you check for this or can you check for that? Depending on the area. People from California, as we obviously we get a lot of California folks relocating here all the time. Mm-hmm. Those people are always concerned about extra strapping in the house. Mm-hmm. Most Texas people don't even know probably what strapping is.
Please enlighten us now, Sterling.
Yeah, sure. That strapping is what you have to put on a house to keep it, in layman's terms, to kind of keep it from blowing away. It's metal straps that you place strategically throughout the house to keep it rooted and grounded, basically. Well,
I've
in
never
California,
heard that.
Yeah. Without that, strong wind come by, it could actually blow the house off the foundation.
You are kidding. See, I thought Texas or Oklahoma had that wind sweeping down the plain, but what do they have, those Santa Ana winds or something? I hear that, but I didn't realize that it could be that strong.
Yeah, especially like in California, like where they'll have earthquakes. It's part of, from what I understand, their code is they have to put in a bunch of extra strapping in every house to make it sustainable for earthquakes, like a truck ton of strapping. So they always are asking questions about that when that's something we're really not even focused on here in this area to that extent, to that same extent. Obviously, we're focused on safety and quality and craftsmanship, but we're not running into those problems such as that.
But one of the things, because I lived in Georgia and you and I have Atlanta ties, so we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right.
But foundation wasn't a big thing. And I'd bought and sold several houses in Atlanta. So that was never an issue. But here, it's a different issue. And so, there's pier and beam, there's slabs, and those are different types of foundations that have different ways of being taken care of, right? Right. So, for example, if you have a foundation that's a slab, you take care of it differently than a pier and beam. And pier and beams are usually on older homes, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, most of the time, if I see a pier beam house, it typically is on an older home. It's not that it's an antiquated foundation practice to use. It's just that it costs more money, and more times than not, most builders are going to want to save as much money as they
I
can.
see.
And a slab foundation is a great alternative. It does not cost as much,
I see.
and it's there's a couple of different pours. Most pours you see, or I should say, most pours that I've run into personally have been like a monolithic pour, meaning that they're pouring the entire slab in one swoop, and that's going to be the end of it.
Hmm.
Also, important to note here, the driveway patio are not a part of that slab. A lot of times people will see cracks there and go,
Yes.
"Oh no, is the foundation bad?" And
Uh-huh.
I'll explain to them, this isn't even connected to the foundation. This is a
Oh,
totally
wow.
separate pour.
Ah, totally different. That's cool. And see, something I've learned is that you don't just, jack up a house because there's like a little slope or a little movement, because there's a method to that madness, right? So,
Right.
so yeah, you don't want to do that because that could cause a whole nother thing. And I've had people walk away from that reason. I'm like, look, I can promise you this house is going to be standing here in 10 years unless something,
Right.
else happens. And it usually is. But I think that just scares people. And you're only meant to tell them this just to notice, because I think houses are like kids. So if you never check your foundation and you live there 10 years, that could be an issue. You have to kind of follow up with things and make sure that,
Right.
do you know what I mean? Am I saying that correctly from an inspection kind of standpoint?
Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. Um,
So,
you
for example, if
know,
you said you need further evaluation, you might
mhm.
get a structural engineer, and I think that few hundred extra dollars maybe could put your mind at ease, right?
Absolutely. When we go out to the home, we use a tool called Zip Level to measure the foundation, just because we want to know beyond reasonable doubt where the baseline levels for that house is at the time of
Hmm.
the inspection. That's kind of like when you go to the doctor, they're typically, the nurse is going to come in my experience, they've always taken my blood pressure, resting heart rate, things of that nature.
And my
Well,
weight,
right, wait,
with
right,
my cowboy boots on and all my
right.
clothes in the winter, and go, dang, Jill, you got some
Mhm.
issues. No, I'm kidding.
Right. Well, if they take a blood pressure reading, let's say a person has a higher blood pressure reading,
Uh-huh.
well, then that doctor may refer that person to a cardiologist, a specialist. Now,
Right.
it doesn't mean that that person is going to have a heart attack or a stroke when they walk out of the doctor's office, but sometimes when there are some indicating signs, then you want to get further evaluation, which is where a person like a structural engineer would come in, same as a cardiologist, to the first things first, rule things out. Let's not automatically
Exactly.
assume that that means foundation work needs to be done. It's to rule some things out. That's what a cardiologist is there for. It's not that when you go in, they're going to automatically put you on, medicine to prevent you from having a heart attack. They got to run
Right.
additional tests, and that's sometimes for buyers a scary thing because they're in that space of the unknown a little bit. What's
Mm-hmm.
really going to happen here? But that's not
That could not.
particularly the case a lot of
Yeah.
times. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so I always like to talk about the big three. So you've got your foundation, you've got your roof. So it's a little windy in Texas sometimes. You throw in some hail, and that can take its time on a roof, right? So I
Hmm.
ask you this question sometimes. How big of a deal is that one spot of hail damage on that roof? How big of a deal? Is it a big deal? I mean, is it the same thing like foundation? Might be one little issue. Do you rip off the whole roof for that or no? You watch it? How does that work?
Typically, and that's another great question, but typically on a roof like that, a roofer can go on, excuse me.
Oh, well, thanks, Stir. You okay? Am I boring you?
No, it was, I was up late with my son, but we were playing that new game console. We were just up late
Uh,
playing
oh,
that.
you are the
The
coolest dad.
PlayStation.
Oh
The
yeah.
new place said, "Well, thank you, thank you." I'm pretty sure he would think differently about that coolest dad thing, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I'm not the coolest mom, and but I will be. I hope.
right, right,
But I think roofs play just such a big part right now. I mean, people want to know at least when they move into a house that the roof is not leaking. One, but two,
hmm
is there any damage to the roof that they would need to know about? Right?
right. Yeah, if there are any missing shingles, lifted shingles where moisture can get underneath,
Yeah.
anywhere, any place on the roof, lifted flashing,
Hmm.
anywhere moisture can get in. That's what we're looking for on that roof to try to put in the report to help them know, okay, we need to seal this up to prevent additional moisture from being able to potentially come through.
There you go. And then let's talk a
hmm
little bit about the AC, okay? In Texas,
hmm
if you don't need anything else in your life, you're probably going to need a little AC, right? It's not like some
Absolutely, you will.
areas of the country where they go, well, we don't even
Right.
have an air conditioner in our house. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's not an
whoa, that's.
option.
Yeah, exactly. And so, for example, like I've often read that if you have a vacant home that you're selling, you should definitely keep the AC, keep the things moving in that house. Don't just let it sit with everything off because, again, the house needs to breathe or it needs to, don't you think? I mean, because
Well,
sometimes I've
I,
walked
I
into vacant
agree.
homes and I'm either sweating my brains out or I'm freezing.
Jill, that's a great point. And I've noticed that about anything in life, period. You're either living or you're dying. And if you let a house just sit dormant,
Hmm.
things start to automatically deteriorate a little bit. So you'll start getting things that will not work as properly as they should. You want to keep a house isn't just meant to sit empty. It's meant
Right.
to function like a car. If you let a car sit for a year and you go try to crank that car up, most cars are going to have some sort of problem because it wasn't built to just sit dormant like that. So I
Exactly.
always suggest to keep things, running, keep things active, even if you are going to have a period where there's no one actually in the home. Keeping
Hmm.
things active will probably help to prevent, I should say, it'll be good preventative type maintenance.
Exactly. And I've always had this weird fascination with houses. Like I said, they can seem happy to me. They can seem sad. They can seem like they just need some
Right,
love. And
right.
I believe each house has a story. And when people love the house and take care of it, it loves them back. Do you ever walk into a house and kind of feel like, oh, wow, something here needs something? Do you ever feel that way? Or is it just weird me?
No, no, I completely understand where you're coming from on that. That does happen to me sometimes.
Yeah, when you walk in and you think, wow, if somebody were to just be here in this house, it'll be okay. Or if somebody really loved it, you can just, and I don't just mean because they decorated it or whatever. I mean, there's just something about it. And I think those feelings sometimes tend to help home buyers. They'll go, wow, I can feel it. I like it. When I tell them just to open up and open their minds and see, can you picture yourself here? Yes or no. And as agents, we try to educate them as best we can. Like, for example, I had this
Right.
happen recently. Cute little first time home buyer. There was this cute little house, and we kind of call them those Fox and Jacob houses around here. You know what I'm talking like in some
Yep.
areas. And this home had this updated kitchen. It had a backyard. It was so darn. It was loved. A cute bathrooms. They were all updated. Had a good roof. Foundation was good, but the windows weren't new. And they laughed on it. They walked on it. But we ended up having to part ways because I could not find them another house. I mean, this house was like 250. And I couldn't find where, okay, well, if you don't have the windows, okay, so maybe it had the windows, but maybe it needed all new kitchen stuff, or maybe it needed an updated bathroom, or and so you have to have some kind of balance. You have to realize that in certain price points you might not get this or that, but you might get this. You might like this at one point, but you'll always have to do some kind of work. Do you think so?
Right, right, right. Absolutely. I would agree. I would completely agree on that, Jill.
And something I like about the inspection house is you guys have some cool tools, right? Very techie. You're kind of a techie kind of where you got some neat tools. Can you tell me about some of the tools that you use when you go into a house? Like you were talking about some of them earlier, but anything?
Yeah, sure. I know we mentioned that zip level earlier, but we'll also use. We got a. In my opinion, I'm pretty sure it's kind of boring, but it's kind of pretty cool tool. We'll use a gas leak detector to check for gas leaks at the house. This is a digital meter to see if there's any excess gas coming around or any leaks at those appliances there to keep a person safe.
You have easy to read inspections too.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, we try to make it really plain. And we give, if we can, a pathway to easily correct the problem and try to, help the buyer understand how they can resolve the concern if they so choose to do it on their own, or if the seller does it, what that repair would look like. So we do try to do that. We use an infrared tool at times to see if there's cool. Looking through to see if there's differentials within the walls, and some of those wet areas. We found areas of leaks behind the wall, no insulation in some areas, in some homes behind a sealed up wall, especially in areas where they've done a remodel, like a garage conversion.
Yeah.
We'll see stuff like that in areas like that. So it's always good to have that. We'll use a temperature gun to check the temperature at the registers. People are always curious, like, what does that do?
Absolutely. So, great tool.
That's always a great one.
Tell me something.
Water meters, PSI detectors on the water pressure at the house. I mean, we got all kinds of tools and gadgets.
That's right. I mean, when you guys leave, it's like, okay, we know this house, and that's what you want. We know what's going on. And it is important to note, Sterling, that inspectors, as well as probably an agent or anybody that would look at the house, they can only tell you what's going on at that time, right?
Right.
Because it just is what it is. I mean, this is what is going on right now. But the beauty of what an inspection provides is things for you to be aware of, to know going forward. Right. So tell me this. What are some crazy things that you've seen on an inspection? I think you posted a snake one time, and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. I've seen a few snakes. I think some of the craziest thing I've seen on inspections are the people.
Yeah.
Some of the people, but I mean, we've seen some of the little wild animals, little bugs.
Yeah.
I've had a dog chase me before.
Oh no.
I've seen a foundation so far off, it was 8 inches off. I've seen one 9 inches off.
Do you know, this was years and years ago, and this house, it was so cute. I think it was somewhere in, somewhere in Dallas, I guess, or that edge part by Carrollton. And the house, it had tons of offers on it too. This was probably in 13 or 14. And I'm not kidding. You literally could roll that tennis ball from the back door to the front. Mm-hmm. Like it just rolled by itself. And I just didn't understand when I called the agent, and she called me back and she goes, well, they don't have any issues. And I thought that they do, but maybe when you live in the house for a long time, it's kind of like when you see your kid and somebody goes, my gosh, they're so tall. And you think, well, I see them every day.
Right.
Maybe
that's
it's kind of
exactly
like that.
Happens.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's right. The important part. Because a lot of people now, this is what's crazy, Sterling, is a lot of people, they are doing these short option periods and they can do an inspection, but it doesn't mean anything. And they will have to take the house regardless.
Right.
That's pretty tricky.
The good thing is we've been positioning ourselves to be one of the leaders in being able to
get there
fast. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with that. Being able to get there fast.
You do it, and you guys are even doing
make
Sundays.
Sure we do a thorough job there. Yeah. Yep. We go out Sunday, Saturday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I love about the inspection house. And I do want to take a quick second. Well, we can go ahead and do our Fast and Furious round with Sterling in just a second. But your man Justin is awesome. Like he is constantly, calling us as agents and saying, what can we do? How can we help? It's really cool. And that I think is also a great tool that you have as your business development manager is all over the place. He's always wanting to know what he can do for us. And that's, I think, very cool.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I really appreciate it. Yeah, Justin's a hardworking guy. I'm really, really, really thankful to have him, and I really appreciate him and everything he brings to the company too. I think
Absolutely.
Couldn't do it without him and a couple more other, just great people as well.
Absolutely. And so let's have some fun. I want to do a Fast and Furious round with Sterling, okay? Lizards or snakes?
Lizards.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Beach or ski?
I usually spend my summers in Aspen, but I do like the beach too.
There
I gotta go with beach. I go with beach.
All right. Now, Popeye's chicken sandwich or Chick-fil-A?
Ooh. Chick-fil-A. I can't deal with Popeye service.
Are you serious?
I can't deal with their service. Yeah, the sandwich tastes better, but I don't have time for that level of service.
Oh,
Chick-fil-A
I'm from New
is
Orleans.
treat me great.
I'm from New Orleans,
treat
dude.
me great when I go over there.
No. I'll wait for Popeyes. I will stand in line for Popeyes. Are you kidding me? Okay, here's
You're gonna have to.
I know. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing, Sterling?
Oh, right now I'm in the hotel with my son.
Okay, all right. We hear water or something. So you're an inspector, so you can make sure that it's not. You can make sure that it's okay. See, we're not hearing water just drip. Okay, my last. Here's my other one. It's a family show. Huddle House or Waffle House?
Definitely Waffle House.
I know, that's it.
Long.
You know me.
Waffle House, my favorite restaurant.
I'm telling you, and someone once told me, you don't go to Waffle House, you end up at Waffle House.
Right.
But you were the only person.
Waffle House.
And this is where this is where you and I like really bonded is one time somehow it came up and people were like, why would you go to Waffle House? And you and I were like, what? They're the Waffle House, right? And it's kind of more of an Atlanta or a Georgia thing, right? So sometimes when I see a waffle that's smothered and covered, dunked and chunked, I think of you.
Right. Same here. When I go, I'm always like, this is for Jill too.
I know, and I tag you on posts and stuff. But I have one more. The Hawks or the Mavericks?
Sure.
The Hawks or the Mavericks? Atlanta Hawks, Dallas Mavericks.
I'll go with the Mavericks because I live in Dallas, but they both got a long ways to go. They got work to do.
I know, but I love that Luka kid now. Oh my gosh, he's so good to watch. Kind of like when Kevin Durant was. Oh, I loved watching Kevin Durant. Yeah, but Hawks
the truth, for sure.
I love the Hawks because a long time ago I used to live in Atlanta and lived there for about 10 years and. I'd go to the Hawks game. So sometimes, I was in radio there. If I was being interviewed, or something, people would say, well, who's your hero? And besides the obvious, family or whatever, my answer was always Spud Webb. Because I would watch this guy who's probably a little taller than me, and he's in the NBA. And I thought, if this guy can do the NBA, I should be able to do anything. Like, I loved watching him. He was so impressive. And then I found out from my friend Amy Jo that he lives in Dallas. Did you know that? Unless he's moved.
Yeah. No. I know he does live in Dallas.
It's a good thing that I didn't really, because I probably stalked him once or twice. I mean, I hope, don't tell him. But anyway, I thought that is the coolest thing. Like, I'm here now and he's here and stuff. So anyway, and I look at things like that sometimes, and when I am having a bad day, it makes me believe. You have to. Hello.
Right.
Plus,
sorry about that.
And that's okay. But I also wanted to talk to you about some of the other people in your life. Like that's probably your mom calling right now, but your mom is pretty special to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely she is. Definitely love her. My mom has definitely been a pillar in my life, guided me through. So, she's definitely a special person.
That's awesome. And, like I said, I lived in Atlanta for 10 years and my son was born there. And you have this mini me. And when I see him, I was kind of like that with my mom. Like she couldn't go, that's not my kid. Because people would say, oh, sure, lady. This kid is so adorable. And something I thought was super cute, and you got to do it for me. You guys were having chicken and waffles, which is an Atlanta thing. Although Earl's is pretty close, okay? Earl's Kitchen, is not bad. But it's kind of like when you're from New Orleans.
I don't think I've ever been.
Oh yeah, it's right there in Legacy West. So it's good. I went a while.
Yeah, I have been to Earl's. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
right. Agreed.
But you got to do your chicken and waffle wrap or something that you were doing. Can you do that? You were at Harold's Chicken and Ice Bar.
That was it was like a freestyle.
I know. It was pretty darn good.
Thank you. That was I always try to connect with my son in a fun way that he can enjoy. So
yeah,
and I'm always doing stuff like that.
I know, and they do kind of look at you sometimes, and they go, "What in the world are you doing?"
Right, right.
And you're like, "Let me have this moment, okay?"
Yes, exactly.
Let me. Does he ever talk about what he wants to do when he grows up? Does he ever?
All the time. He wants to be an NBA player. I told him. I said, "Man, you've got to." I said, "You got to start practicing a lot right now."
But here's the thing, right? Spud Webb. See how it all comes back full circle? Does he have to be the tallest guy? It's all about you. You can do whatever you want, whatever comes along. And guess what? You may be seeing more of my son because he's going to go into real estate.
Oh, well, that's amazing.
That's right. He'll be. He wants to be miserable like the rest of us. I don't get it, but okay.
Right.
Okay, so let's put this out there. If you own a house now and you're thinking about selling, what are some of the things that maybe a couple things that people should maybe check on every year? Make sure that, they keep in mind because they're going to come up on an inspection every single time, right? Like my thing is wood rot. Oh gosh, don't get me started. Fix a little bit of wood rot, you'll be fine.
Right.
Those always come up, those kinds of things.
Right. So for me, one of the big things, window sealant. I always have to. Yeah. We're always seeing that in the reports. You didn't seal the windows good.
Right.
And then that allows for leaks. And then windows actually can turn out to be, for some deals, an intense negotiation point.
Right. It was for mine that I was talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And something as simple as sealing them from the exterior and the interior could go a long way.
That's a good tip. Very good. And then if you're a home buyer, always have an inspection, and even on a new build. And I know that's a stickler with you, right? Do it on a new build. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We find same amount, if not more, damage on new builds a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly. I always say new builds because I had one a while back, and there's just a different set of issues, right? Like, I had a couple of roof leaks. It's just like, and they come fix it, but it's just part of it. So there's a little bit of good and bad, or things that you'll deal with on a pre-owned that you won't deal with on a new build, vice versa, right?
Right.
Because sellers aren't going to fix every little thing. It's because it's not a new build. But you might pay a little bit more, especially now, on a new build home because it's just lumber's more expensive. You're getting the kind of the best of the best of that time and that price point. So it's a little bit different. So Sterling Reed, my friend, owner of the inspection house, I'm going to let you go get on with your life, but you sure have enlightened mine on and off this podcast. I really do appreciate that you're here and being here. I'm glad our paths crossed.
Thank you.
I think the world of you and Justin. Thank you for always helping and keeping up realtors. And I didn't get a chance to go to the Seppies this year. Did you? It's our big award ceremony.
I did because I was out here I'm in Atlanta right now, but I didn't get a chance to go. This is my first year missing, but
Mine too.
I already had this trip lined up.
Yeah, my son had a gymnastics meet. He got like first all around. So I was just like, there's no place I'd rather be, right? So, we do what we do. And I just hope that you'll come back. I always
Absolutely.
I would love it, because I think the best is yet to come for both of us and our kids. So
Yeah.
we'll wrap up
Agreed.
on that note. And I want to say thanks so much for being here today and listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Please hit that subscribe button and visit my website, JillElliottHomes, 2Ls2Ts.com.
Boom.
Boom.
Thank you for tuning into For the Love of Real Estate. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to fortheloveofrealestate.biz to join the conversation, access the show notes, and sign up for our newsletter.